Well, good afternoon, Glue Troopers. Max's Models here. We've got a lot of crappy weather, and we had a power outage for a while. I had to go hook up the generator. But I managed to get some model building done despite that. So I masked off and painted the DC-8 fuselage, and it came out actually okay. And I also started painting the little Academy P40. We're going to be talking about that later, and priming the wings and getting painted for the Airbus. So things are actually progressing a pretty good clip. The Airbus, I had to putty up. You could see all those big gaps in that two-piece windshield, so I had to putty all that up. Of course, I taped it off first. A little trick I learned recently from a glue trooper. And once it hardened, I sanded it, peeled the tape and sanded it down, and got it reasonably respectable, and of course reprimed it and then repainted it. So of course I'll be using black decal or paint or something for the actual windows. So the DC-8 came out looking okay, the fuselage, and that was really, except for decal, the last thing I had to do. But I noticed in a lot of the photos, the nose cones on the DC-8s were a different shade of white, so I wanted to show that. So I used, it's the hardest thing you can do, like we were talking about earlier, is draw a straight line around something round, especially if it's conical. So I used the little stencil here, put that over there, used that to draw the line around it, carved it, got it trimmed off, painted it, and it worked reasonably well. Once I had that done and it finished painting the Airbus fuselage again, I figured, okay, now it's time to move on. I was doing a little bit of work on the P40. I was, after I'd finished priming the whole thing, I found a tan color I thought would work, and I coated it in that, but it was just a little too light. And this is where photographs of a real airplane and photographs of a model kind of disagree. So let that harden and went and finished the DC-8 and decaling it. The National Airlines decals that I used were actually for a pair of 727s that left me some extra decal. I was able to make the decals run the entire length of the fuselage according to my reference photo. And this is, of course, a Lidella repop of a old Revell kit from the 60s. So it's not, the greatest kit on earth, easy to build, but went ahead and got everything painted and photographed and decaled. And it'll, like I say, it'll make a good 5-footer. It's going to look fine either hanging from the ceiling or up on the shelf or whatever. So I'm glad to have it done. It wasn't a hard build. Most of the problems were self-inflicted, as we talked about earlier. But I like it. Always liked that National Airlines paint scheme. Went ahead and basically finished off the Nate. Primarily just had to paint the canopy rails, and I just just mixed up a little gray and hand painted them. Unfortunately, the decals were starting to flake off already. I mean, they're 50-something years old, maybe almost 60. So I used the Salva set to go ahead and get them to sit back down long enough to get some photographs taken. And what happens. I'm not worried about it. It's it's a Mania kit, not perfect fits or anything, but a straightforward little build, pretty simple kit. And I have it on the shelf with the Japanese aircraft and the TARDIS. And then I decided it was time to go ahead and get back on that P40. And I wound up using another darker shade of brown. So I wound up airbrushing the brown and the green camouflage pattern. And then that's the power had gone out, so I took it in the house. We hooked up the generator, had some power inside. The landing gear is extremely skinny and wobbly. It's not a great kit. It's a lousy fits, a lopsided cockpit, a lot of putty required to seal up the wings. The gear is extremely spindly. The tail got knocked off, so it's gone. But perhaps the most embarrassing thing is the decals are completely out of register. Now, the particular model they decided to use in this is Chuck Holder's airplane. He was a third top scoring flying tiger with, I think, 10 and a quarter confirmed kills. He went on to fly in the Air Force and shoot down a total of 18 enemy aircraft. And he also flew again in Korea. And he was a very colorful guy. He later became a judge in California and presided over the Manson trial. That's right. He's the one that put Charlie away for life. And At one point, that idiot Manson tried to actually lunge at him, and I'm like, this guy fought the Imperial Japanese Army, the North Korean Army, and the Chinese Army. I don't think he's scared of a 120-pound punk. But very colorful guy, lived to a ripe old age, and the kind of person that he's a legend in aviation, and he deserves a better kit. In fact, the outro, we're going to have a little song about how Chuck deserves a better kit than this. This is one of those rare times I'm going to put a kit on my do not buy list. You guys take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you later. And as always, model on.
Chuck Golder's plane was a roaring beast, a P-40 Tiger taking off to feast, with teeth that grinned and eyes so wide, it ruled the skies with endless pride. But this model here, oh, it's a crime, a lopsided wing that is misaligned. The glue won't stick, the prop won't spin. Chuck deserves better, let's begin! Flying Tigers forever, they deserve their due. A plane so bold, cutting clouds in two. But this model's a joke, it really ain't worth spit. Chuck's plane deserves a better kit. The decals are lame, the cockpit's askew. This kit's a disaster, I'm feeling blue. The landing gear's crooked, the tail is a mess. Chuck's legacy deserves the best. Let's grab the tools, let's make it right. We'll paint it true, we'll give it flight. A masterpiece for skies so high. Chuck's Tiger soaring in the sky. Flying Tigers forever, they deserve their due.